Welcome to the Work Awesome podcast. This is our 8th episode. Today we're talking about how LinkedIn can help grow your career. This is one of, I think, 4 or 5 episodes we have about your personal brand and really using LinkedIn to help grow your career and grow your brand online. So today I have Tara, Caitlin, and Megan joining me. Tara and Megan are down here at our PAX office, and then Caitlin works up at our with our team in Arlington, Virginia, at the Office of Naval Research. So she doesn't make it down to PAX as often as everyone else, but that is okay. I know a little off subject, but I think you were at the movie night a couple weeks ago, right?
I was there.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I'm
going to go ahead and apologize right now for my real creepy kid that just would not stop trying to hang out with you. So sorry about that.
No, they were precious and made for good
company. Okay. So on this episode, we are, like I said, talking about how LinkedIn can help grow your career. To read the description, connections is only a small part of LinkedIn. This episode, we'll look at the tools LinkedIn offers that will exponentially grow your career. Not a writer, you can make a video. Not a great speaker, you can write an article. The opportunity on LinkedIn is endless, and it's actually really interesting. I've been geeking out, as Tara knows, all afternoon because they actually just added stories to the LinkedIn mobile app. So much like Instagram and Facebook has stories, LinkedIn now has stories too. So I'm really excited to see how people use those and how it helps people connect more on that platform. So we'll talk about that more later. To start with an icebreaker, like we normally do. The icebreaker this week is, would you rather never use social media sites and apps again, or never watch another movie or TV show again? So whoever wants to jump in and answer first.
So that was, at first I thought it was hard, and then I thought a second more, and I think that I would go with never using a social site again. There are other ways for me to connect with people. I think I prefer more face-to-face kind of things. I'm also old school, and I enjoy writing notes to people and mailing them. Still get cards from my grandma. But a good movie can't replace a good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. We're big on family movie nights, so I don't think I can take that out. I think I really social.
Who gets to pick the movie on family movie night?
It depends. If my daughter's in a good mood and she feels like sitting down and watching a movie, since she's 2, she gets to pick. But if not, one of my siblings or whoever else is over.
I think I'm going to be different and disagree. I think I would go with social media and give up the movies. I feel like you can find out a lot about the movies that are out and the TV shows that are out on social media, and you can go so far and connect internationally with social media, whereas movies and TV are more one-sided. So I think I'd give up movies and TV.
I like that.
So I had kind of the same thought, where also a little technicality. Does YouTube count as social media, or does it count as TV/movie? So like if YouTube is social media, I'm keeping my social media. I can watch stuff on Facebook now. I can watch stuff on Instagram and YouTube.
See, you found a loophole in this.
Yeah, a little bit. So I would give up movies and TV shows because I think YouTube is a platform, a social media platform, because people are filming their lives and being social on there now. For some of the bigger channels, they actually have stories as well. So much like Facebook, Instagram, and now LinkedIn has stories, YouTube has stories, and it looks like they'll be rolling that out eventually for everybody too. All right. So jumping into the topic for today, LinkedIn is a massive platform. It's still continuing to grow. A lot of people have this mindset that it's not as big as some of the other social platforms, but I think it is, especially if you are using it in your professional life. The past few weeks, I've been using it a lot, obviously, to push the Work Awesome podcast, as well as trying to just continually grow my network. And what we found recently is that so everyone knows that you can go up to 500 connections, where it'll show that number on there. I dug a little deeper. You can actually connect with 30,000 people on LinkedIn, which is a massive amount of people. And I think obviously finding valuable connections is good, but still growing your network so other people see your opinions and your thoughts is just as valuable as having some real in-person meaningful connections. So how do you guys use LinkedIn? And is there any kind of tips or tricks that you would just right off the bat give to somebody that is looking for to grow their connections and grow their professional life?
Well, I would say the easy one is to connect with people, is to actually, I mean, of course, you want to build out your profile and everything about who you are. But when you set up a LinkedIn account or at any point in time, you can go in there and select new companies, new organizations to follow, new influencers to follow, other people that you meet, instantly connecting with them and sending them a quick message. Hey, great to meet you. Really, looking forward to kind of connecting with you in a different way. I just made, say, like 15 new connections from an event that I went to last week, and already seeing the content that they're sharing helps me expand what I'm seeing, what I have interest in. And so that's an easy one, I think, just connecting.
Yeah, I think personally, because I see it from a recruiter's aspect, a lot of the different ways that I've used it too is just, I do think it's important that you build a profile that says a lot about who you are and what you're looking for, and like really shows the good things about you. Because from my point, we do see that, we look for that. And then it's really good because we're able to do kind of like keyword searches, and everybody can actually do this, where you can kind of search for similar things that you're interested in or people that you want to connect with. And I do that. I spend probably a good hour every day on LinkedIn, just connecting, making connections, finding people that are similar to what either I want to hire or what I'm interested in. And then I also kind of like, in a less creepy way, but like stalk their pages too, and then find all of the options and the people that they have and connect and keep going from there. So it really does help to grow if you have a good profile, and then being able to do those random searches and just kind of making sure you're connecting where you want to be.
So one of the things about the profile too that I think that people tend to overlook is the all of the recommendations that you can offer, where it's, does Tara have a particular skill set in something that I can endorse and say, yes, Tara is an expert in this, is Megan an expert in this? So I think that doing that and seeing who has endorsed you for different things really goes a long way as well. And those are all things that you're prompted with, but you can also go in and add those in at any time.
Mm-hmm.
I think it might sound simple too, but staying active is so important. I feel like a lot of people make their accounts at the beginning of college or right after they graduate and they forget about it. But just staying active, it's not like other social medias where you can get, dragged into a loophole where you're just scrolling for hours. You're constantly growing professionally, I think, if you're on LinkedIn. And there's a lot of value to that. And there's a lot of value of just seeing what your connections are doing and keeping in touch, so that way, if an opportunity presents itself, then that's your way in for sure.
Yeah. And I think to kind of build off that too, one thing that I've found super important is I still stay connected with people from like past jobs and past places that I've been. And they share our job postings when I share them, because we just have a good connection, and I'll share theirs every now and then, especially because like my previous company was in Pennsylvania. So I'm not really worried about them taking competition or anything. So we just kind of share each other's things. And, like you said, we check in every now and then. I even had somebody reach out just to send me a couple resumes because they saw the jobs that I was posting. And this was from like 2 jobs ago. So I think just keeping those connections too, rather than just making it and then letting that go.
Yeah. And I think people are using it a lot more now that everyone's like, or they have been at home. They're finding time throughout their workday to take a mental break and jump on social media. And I don't know if it's like this factor of feeling guilty to get on Facebook, but LinkedIn seems like it's more professional. So it might be easier to jump on during the workday.
It is more professional. It is a really great way, especially in a pandemic, or even an environment where you're in a mass telework. For a lot of the companies that are pushing forward and have already put out policies that you don't have to come back to work at all. You can be in a telework environment indefinitely for the purpose of growing your career and making additional connections. That it's so easy to to go on there and set some times for yourself. Like I have blocks of time on my calendar where I know I want to go in and look at things. But even throughout the day, there are so many opportunities to do that, to like content, to comment on content, to create your own content. Mm-hmm. I agree with you. It feels less
guilty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So before I forget, let me take the opportunity to talk about some social media stuff that's happening with the Work Awesome podcast. This week we did make, well, you guys will be seeing this in October, but in September we did make specific pages for the Work Awesome podcast on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. That's where all the content is being shared now. So definitely check those out. But to tie that back into the conversation, that allows me to then post on the Work Awesome podcast. But when it's something that I have something valuable to say about whatever's in that piece of content, I share it on my personal page. And that is kind of how in a podcast before this, we talked about being authentic and being your true self. That's how I kind of shifted what we were doing with the Work Awesome podcast to really give you guys the insights that I come away from these podcasts with. That was my little soapbox discussion about social media. Back to the topic again. So you're on LinkedIn. What type of content do you personally utilize the most? And then I'll follow up afterwards, but you can start thinking about it now. What type of content stands out to you the most? So is it photos? Is it videos? Is it just text? What are you using to connect with other people with?
So Caitlin, do you want to jump in here? Because I actually think you have some really good activity. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on how you've used it more.
Yeah, so a lot of the times I'll follow hashtags of things that I'm interested in. One of the things I've really been interested in, I used to work for a gym that focused its demographic on women only. So a lot of my feed is women in business and what women are doing internationally in business, just to learn what the opportunities are out there and how the industry is growing for women. I really like photos and videos with short text. I think it's important to keep on any social media the users engaged, and you really typically will lose interest of a user after the first paragraph. So you want to get the really important information out there as soon as possible with your writing. And then just being in the field of public relations. I really like to use LinkedIn to see other press releases and to see kind of the writing style of other writers in my field, just to learn and constantly improve my own writing style. But definitely really interested in other articles nationwide and internationally as well, just to see what's out in the industry.
Mm-hmm. I think I definitely agree with the hashtags. That's how I look for pretty much everything that I want to do. When I did a LinkedIn training previously, actually was when I started here, it was funny because the speaker was saying that she really did utilize her LinkedIn almost like a Facebook. And so she had like her opening paragraph was about her favorite band. And, you know, she did things that made it very personable. So that way it wasn't so intimidating, like this is an HR person or this is somebody only, you know, LinkedIn who's professional. And even though we are, but it made people feel like you're more approachable to come to you. So I think for me personally, like I love to get on there weekly and post like little motivational things. So I always repost just short, like you said, short little pictures that I'll see. So I follow a lot of those because I think that also starts engagement with, I'm not just posting about here's a job opening, like let's only talk about that. I like to get other views and opinions and things. So I think kind of making it more homey, if that makes sense, is, you know, what I like to use it for. And I've gotten a lot of really good results from that.
Yeah, I also really enjoy the motivational kind of pieces, whether that's just some really great graphics, whether it's a quote. I see a lot of quotes that I really enjoy that get me thinking. I have a few people from different organizations that I really like their take on different social topics that are happening in the world right now. So I like to kind of seek those out sometimes to see like, okay, so I know that this is going on. Let me see what their specific thoughts about this are. The video content, sometimes if it's short enough, I like those snapshots, like Caitlin said, keeping people engaged and making sure that that we're giving them the bite-sized content and then giving them a taste of it, and then like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna listen for more for that. But just as I'm scrolling through my feed, I want some of that bite-sized content.
Yeah, definitely. And I was going to talk about hashtags, but you guys covered that already. It's actually really cool. So LinkedIn, you can follow hashtags. And when you are on the site, I'm looking at my other screen now, on the left side, you can actually see all the hashtags that you follow. It makes it really easy to jump to those different subjects and see what's going on within those kind of subcategories. Along those same lines of hashtags, what about groups? Are you guys using groups at all? Personally, I follow a few groups that are pretty much marketing and social media related. And I think it's valuable because you, like Caitlin was talking about, you get to see what other people are doing. And those groups are very focused on whatever that topic is. So are there any groups that you guys use or think are valuable for folks?
I'm in 2 alumni groups for my undergraduate and my graduate degree program that I find a lot of value in, because there's always different people and different perspectives coming in from that one. So that one's really interesting. And then there's also a few that I've followed from time to time that are work related, as I'm trying to understand a topic better, as I'm trying to understand that market and really hear what those experts have to say.
Yeah, I found obviously like a ton of different recruiting groups and just like recruiters from all over and different strategies that they use. And they do a lot of like, the funny memes and just like little joking things too, to make it a little bit lighter. But then there's also a ton of advice on there for how they get people in, and they work a lot with marketing and being able to advertise and things like that. So they also include some of their partners and groups that they follow. And I found that to just be helping also with connections. And then there's a couple motivational speakers that I really like that I also follow, and their like families break off and they also do motivational speaking. So being able to follow those two also kind of helps with the just finding other things to be able to share and bring to the page. So I do enjoy following them as well.
Yeah, like Tara, I'm part of an undergrad group as well for my major. And it's really helpful just to see what people in my class and those who graduated before me are doing in the industry, and also help people who are getting ready to graduate, giving them guidance as to what to expect and things that I wish people had told me when I was getting ready to graduate as well.
Yeah. And like Tara was saying, there's some groups that I'm part of where like we might be trying to get into that field as a company. So model-based systems engineering is a group that I'm part of, and it's really just about still growing your network, but you get to see who the thought leaders are within those groups, and you could potentially reach out, connect with them, and make some connections even before you do anything in that sector or world.
And I would say that would be applicable to people who are looking for a job. Like you want a career change or you want to expand your horizon there, join a group and see what they have to say, because maybe there are different things that you can do that make you more marketable in that particular kind of field if you're trying to shift.
Yep. So we talked about hashtags, we talked about groups. Next up on the list is pages. So like company pages. I think personally, my personal opinion is I think it's really important if you're going for a job at a company, probably a good idea to follow them or at least give a glance at what type of content they're posting on LinkedIn. What do you guys think?
Yeah,
totally agree.
Yeah, I mean, when I left my interview for here, I immediately found Avian, and then that kind of led to I found Tara, I found Kelly, like I found just a bunch of random people, and then I was able to also dig into their profiles and find out more than just what the page itself said, based on what you guys were saying on your LinkedIn. So I do think that's super important.
Yeah, LinkedIn's really good. Imagine this, really good at making connections. They like on basically every page that you're on, they push people that are looking at similar stuff. So like, even if you're like, if I was on Megan's profile page, I could see people that are similar to Megan. It could be people that work at Avian. It could be other recruiters. It's really good at showing you people that are similar to who you're already looking at, as well as people that work for the company if you're looking at a company page. Anything else about company pages? I think that was all pretty much agreeing that you should follow a company page.
Yes.
So specifically for recruiting, Megan, do you have, we didn't talk about this before the show. Do you have a recruiting account for LinkedIn?
I do. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So is there anything that somebody could do to stand out more to you with the recruiter account?
So everything with a lot of recruiting, when it comes to recruiting, is a lot of like keywords, and that's really how we're able to find a lot. So that's why I said it's really important to build your profile out, and really exaggerate your specialties and what you're good at. And, just almost as if you would build a resume, kind of build that out on your profile. And then you can also put your resume on your profile. I will say, as a recruiter, it's great when your resume is on there, because there are some profiles whose resumes aren't. And then we have to kind of go back and forth with, they look like they might be good, but I don't even know, what they're doing. So I highly suggest putting a resume on there. I think, just as Caitlin was saying, just staying active. That way, also, when we are reaching out, we're not going months at a time without hearing from you, because that's also happened where we found some really good candidates and they're just not active. And so we don't see them very often. We don't hear from them. But really, from the recruiter's aspect of what it comes into using LinkedIn, we do just a lot of keywords. So I think it's just really important to, if you're looking for a specific job, and I've had people who were looking for a job at ABM and they reached out to me, they sent me a message, and by the time I got on their page, they had, adjusted their resume or their profile to really fit the job that they messaged me about. So it can be a very almost active resume that you can kind of adjust and change, and that's very helpful.
What about any sort of, I know that you can add all kinds of things. Now, I don't do that. I'm not currently looking for another job. So I guess that's the reason why I can say it's okay that I haven't done it. But any place where it's like, so all the press releases that I've done and the publications that I've created and all, my portfolio, essentially, do you look at those pieces of what people have published or things that they've done?
Yeah, I do think that there's a section in there. I haven't personally seen too many people put that in there, so I'm not sure if it's an easy thing to access, because
it just always stands out to me when I see it on somebody's. I was like, oh, look at your published content, or right. You wrote an article for this trade publication. That's really great. So.
Yeah. And I think just using that too in that opening paragraph, even if you can't share your links, just putting that in that open paragraph, just exaggerating why you would be a good candidate for any position, related. If it's a graphics position, what have you done in graphics? And just really put that up there, the first thing that we see when we go to your page. And then, like I said, just break everything else out. That way it's easier for us to see, because sometimes we can't necessarily download the profile. So we have to be able to just kind of look at it and know what we're looking at. So I do think that's a good idea, being able to link those. I know some people even take it to an extent of like linking their YouTube channels or their social media accounts. And some recruiters, we don't personally do that, but some recruiters do even take it that far to be able to kind of see outside of just your LinkedIn profile, what else you're providing. And that could also, be beneficial.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just like losing myself in my own personal page right now, not to look at my stuff, but to see where this conversation goes. So one of the new things that LinkedIn added are these skill quizzes. As a recruiter, do those stand out to you at all? Have you seen anybody that has completed them?
I haven't seen anybody that's completed them, to be honest with you.
So to be honest with you guys, I tried one and it was for Adobe Illustrator. And I think I'm really good at Adobe Illustrator, but it was the hardest quiz that I've ever taken. I did not pass. It says that you can take it again within 30 days. But there's some stuff on there that I was like, I don't know.
Like really technical stuff?
Very technical stuff. Software? Yes, very. It's like, what menu actions do you take to change the something of something? I'm like, I don't
know. I just do it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So skill quizzes, I think that's something to keep an eye on. I think as they become more popular, the people and recruiters especially are going to start looking at those. It's a good indicator of what someone is an expert in, especially if they're as hard as I just led you guys to believe they are.
I'm gonna try and take one now. Maybe not the Illustrator one though.
Yeah, don't take that one. Take like a Outlook one maybe. Skills and endorsements. What about, I mean, I think the whole profile is just obviously a great snapshot of who a person is. The skills and endorsements section is nice because it's other people's opinions about a person. Have you seen, how do I word this question? Have you seen anything that like tells you otherwise, that like maybe that section is faked somehow, or
I don't think so. I do think that, especially, I won't necessarily say the endorsements, we don't pay entirely too much attention to that one, just because I think kind of like a reference, anybody can say anything nice, so, and you're going to put people there who are going to say good things about you. But the skills section is really beneficial to us because that is kind of what is used in those keyword searches. So how we would use in our applicant tracking system, certain terms, if it's like, I don't know, like Adobe, we're searching for that helps pull and trigger some of the words too. So I think making sure that that's updated and looks accurate, that's definitely something we look at.
See, I actually do think that the endorsements, I mean, I'm obviously not a recruiter, but whenever there's an opportunity to see, like if someone is saying, to me, it validates what someone is saying that they have a skill in, or sometimes I've received endorsements for myself that I don't necessarily see as one of my top skills, but somebody throws it on there and I'm like, oh, well, that's nice. That's good to understand how other people perceive my skills. But it is nice because you can see very specific people, like from an editing standpoint, like editing is one of mine, and the type of positional titles that people hold that endorse me for that may be something that is of value when people are checking out my profile to kind of see who those people are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I know Tara and Megan have premium accounts. Caitlin, do you have a premium account on LinkedIn?
I do not have a premium account. I just have a basic version.
They're so expensive. Anyways, LinkedIn Learning, is that a valuable tool, Tara and Megan, for people to learn new skills? I have never explored the software or the platform, so I don't know what's on there, but is it something that would help somebody find a new job or
Absolutely. I mean, there's so much training on there. When they merged with lynda.com, they because I was somebody who used lynda.com, that platform had everything you could possibly imagine and walked you through a bunch of really great trainings. So when you think about maybe you're trying to beef up your skill set in something, maybe you're Ian and you failed a skills quiz in Illustrator and you want to, like maybe I should go in there and relearn Illustrator.
Right.
Nothing to do. But it has so much in there that you can use in your current role or wanting to kind of expand into other areas. Although, so yes, you have to have LinkedIn Premium to do it for the most part, but I think that there are some loopholes if you're a student.
Oh yeah, I think so. And a government employee too. I think government employees have a LinkedIn Learning subscription, but that would be something to check with one of our friends that work on base.
The premium account, if you want to just try the subscription, be careful when your subscription ends. But if you're not trying to do the full premium account, but if you did the trial, you see all the things that the premium account can unlock for you and the different types of connections that you can make. So as you're trying to make connections or when you're trying to see who is actually viewing your profile, LinkedIn only gives you so much of that information with a free account. So when you get premium, you see all of that. So if someone has viewed your profile and they didn't then reach out to message you, you can then go in there and see that and actually like, hey, I see you checked out my profile. Let me know if you want to chat and really start that conversation and engage in a different way and see where it takes you.
Yeah, definitely. So last couple of things to wrap it up, because we are getting on the lengthy side for this episode. I think we could talk about LinkedIn for a long time, and that's why we have a few episodes on it. So I know, Megan, you talked a little bit about this already, but the kind of like objective statement that shows up on your LinkedIn profile, are there any recommendations from you guys about like what to put there? It's really easy to change. So like if you're looking for a new job and you apply for something you really want and you know that they're going to look at your LinkedIn profile, possibly change it for just that specific occasion. Any recommendations about that objective statement?
I think it's really important to kind of just have your own brand, like build yourself, if that makes sense. So for example, like I actually haven't even changed mine, but I think mine says something about how long I've been doing recruiting, because that's what I do. I'm a recruiter. So I have that as one of the first things. So if for some reason when I was looking for this job, for example, that's almost like what you would say on my resume. Here's how long I've had experience within recruiting. I think it's good. I always think it's good, even on resumes, to kind of use words like, you're passionate, or you're this, or like just words that really explain why you would be a good fit for the position. And even if it's not for a position, I think maybe just you would be a good connection, just somebody to be connected with. Maybe you have a really strong objective in there that really shows your personality, like I said, your brand, what you do. So I think just making that a really strong statement. I don't have too many examples of what exactly that is.
Yeah. So Tara, you must have just changed yours recently, but you had something else on there before. I forget what it said though. Did you change? Yes, you. Did you change?
Me? Yeah. You're what did it say? Something about workplace culture. I think it said like.
Yes, that was it.
Yeah. So yes, I did modify it slightly, and that's, I think that what it is right now, if I'm being honest, is maybe a little bit too lengthy, but I'm trying to figure out what, in my quest to create my own brand and what I believe the value is that I bring to an organization, and what I really believe in is building teams and helping people to communicate and understand what's happening around them. So I think at one point it said, master of workplace culture, queen of workplace culture, something along those lines. But whatever it is, it should stand out. It should be punchy, but it should speak to who you are.
Yeah. I think it's definitely the first place, or the first thing that people see when you come on to your profile. When you post anything, I'm pretty sure. Maybe it doesn't come up. I thought it did come up, but does it?
It does.
It
yeah.
does? Okay.
I would say one thing to stay away from, just to jump in there, just a thing that is kind of repetitive, is you don't need to re-explain your resume, which is why I would put your resume on there. But I've seen so many people with these like paragraphs worth of an objective, and it's basically them just explaining all their years of experience and where they've worked. And I can see your resume, or it should be on there. So I think, just like we said with the short post, it's the same way, like really just an attention grabber that's going to say, hey, this person is really good, without, full detail of what's repetitive. I would just stay away from that.
Yeah, going off of that, I totally agree. I think that your resume should speak for itself. So I think you should use your objective statement to kind of capture them in a way that your resume can't, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yes, kind of like a cover letter. And when you're doing it, or your open statement.
We talked about cover letters in another episode, and it was pretty much an agreement that nobody reads cover letters.
I do personally.
Hiring managers and recruiters actually prefer just the objective statement, because it's more to the point. They get a sense of who you are. There is some differing opinions there, but for the most part, I think the cover letter may be going away.
I don't think you need it.
What was that, Tara?
It's a shame.
Yeah.
But
I think it's a shame. So in the communications world, we like to show off that we can write and that we can grab your attention that way. So I think, yes, that's a shame. But at the same time, if I'm challenged with writing something catchy in a single paragraph, that's also enough for me too.
Yeah, I think that with the changing of how resumes are like get through now versus like I have a printed cover letter and resume on my desk at all times and I'm filing through all of those, it is very different.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. And the last thing I want to talk about, I talked about at the very beginning, is stories. You guys probably don't know too much about it because it literally just got released today. But where do you see that being a useful tool on LinkedIn? What kinds of ideas and thoughts do you have about stories and where they could go on the platform?
I think it's going to completely reshape how your main feed is shown, because people are going to start putting the things, because there wasn't an outlet for some of those pieces that people were trying to do where you're engaging in a different way. So any of the video content, any of the more real personal like in the moment content pieces, I think are going to have a lot of success in stories. And then some of the articles that people are trying to link to and some of the more text-based stuff, you're going to see like the migration and the differentiation between the two. I think it's really great that then you can capture all the stories together and kind of see the progression.
I think it's really interactive. So that's a different way to be interactive. And I think that also is a way for you to show more of your personality, as opposed to, like you were saying, instead of just making a post and writing about it, you can actually go in there. I think from a recruiter's aspect, that might be really fun to talk about the job openings. Instead of just doing it as a post, maybe we can actually talk about them and have more of an interactive, like putting a face to the company almost, if we were going to do it that way. So I think it'll be really fun. I love like Instagram stories and stuff. I think they're fun, and a lot of people too may be a little anxious to answer your response if it's something that's going to be seen publicly. So if it's like Instagram, where the stories are kind of individualized and only goes to you, that may open up a world for people who are a little bit more nervous about, talking on a public post. So that could be really fun. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I'm guessing this is LinkedIn's way to kind of modernize and keep up with the other social media. I know personally, when I'm on Instagram, I usually go through a few stories and close out of the app. I don't even go through the posts anymore. Yeah. That's really super helpful, because I think your content will be viewed a lot more than a post you made 3 weeks ago showing up on the feed again.
Yeah. I think stories are great because, like you said, you don't have to scroll to see them. It shows up right at the top. It is only in the mobile app right now, so I don't know exactly like if everybody has it or if it was only rolled out to certain people, but it will show up at the top of your mobile app. And it's pretty much exactly the same as Instagram and Facebook. There are some limitations, like on Instagram, you can pretty much search for any sticker that you want to put on there. On LinkedIn, right now, that library is a little bit smaller, but I've made 3 or 4 so far. And the one cool thing that they did is it looks like they're going to be putting up like prompts every day. Today's was like what's happening in the office today or something like that. So it kind of ignites that conversation, and then people can reply directly to your story. I think it'll be really cool. And
it's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I only see a few stories that are actually on there. Ian, yours is one of them.
Yes.
So I have to update my app to get it to pop through. So yeah, I'm excited to see what they do with it.
Yeah.
And do you know if is it like Instagram where you can share stories, like we can share each other's stories to pages and stuff like that? We've looked into it that much yet.
I haven't looked into it that much. Right now, only personal accounts can make a story. Not company pages.
Harvard Business Review has one.
Then maybe only certain company pages. The other feature that is kind of like in beta right now is live streaming on LinkedIn. And again, only certain company pages have that right now. So it might fall within that same category, but yeah, super cool. And I think, like Caitlin said, it's their effort to modernize the platform, which is really cool too.
Mm-hmm. I think it'll be successful.
Definitely. And the stat that I always love is that in 5 years, 75% of the workforce is going to be millennials. So I think a lot of these tech companies are looking at that, figuring out that they need to up their game on all of their platforms because we're pretty smart when it comes to technology.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
So that is where we're going to wrap it up today. Thank you guys very much for joining me. On the next episode, I'm not sure what we're talking about because I don't have it pulled up. Actually, I do know what we're talking about. This is exciting. The next episode is getting to the 500 plus club on LinkedIn. So connecting with people. I found a little cheater way to do it. It's literally just connecting with everybody. But
And you recently hit that club.
I did recently hit that club, but there is a right way to do it as well, and a way that you can find valuable connections. So we have some folks coming on that are part of that 500 plus club. If you don't know, LinkedIn kind of, once you reach 500 people, it stops counting on your public profile and just says 500 plus. So we've termed 500 plus for that, or 500 plus club for that milestone. Again, thank you guys, and I will see you next time.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Thanks.
The Work Awesome podcast is brought to you by Avian. Avian is a 49% employee-owned company founded by retired U.S. Navy test pilots who believe passion and talent are the right traits to get the job done. Avian operates in a culture that thrives on innovation, creativity, and the entrepreneurial spirit. Instead of offering services through mere business transactions, Avian is redefining the government services industry by creating meaningful experiences and connecting talented people with important work. The passion that Avian's employees have for its work builds better partnerships for the future, and Avian's unique talents create real solutions. At Avian, we move fast, take risks, and don't settle for the status quo. To learn more, visit Avian's website at avian.com. That's avian.com.